We are live. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This week's live stream. As usual, Steve is fashionably late, so I'm going to assume he'll make a big entrance as usual, but we'll wait and see what he's doing. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning back in, everybody that's here. All the kind of regular faces in the chat I see already, so good to see everybody here. Tonight, we don't have a guest tonight, we're just the four of us. There'll be a giveaway at the tail end of it where we're giving away a Salifert test kit. So if you stay tuned for that one, we'll get that one in. And yeah, we're just, we need to wait on Steve. So I think we could kick things off before he comes and let him join in afterwards.
Is that the first time we've used the countdown, Ross? Is that the first time we've ever done that?
That's the first time, mate. Very first one.
It's very dramatic, and then there's the anticlimax of just our three faces at the end of it. It's going to be something really big, this is. It's going to be something really big, and then it's just those three faces. And
there'll be 1 week we'll do some big intro for it. We'll do something.
What we should do is
have...
I really like it.
We should have a Steve countdown timer and see when he's going to actually show up. That's what we should have.
Yeah,
sweepstake.
So in the chat now, the sweepstake, what minute will Steve join on?
Good idea. Take your guesses now.
I'm going to go for 04, I think. I think that's what I'll go for. Yeah. He's always late. Always late. Unless he's running the chat when he's very early, he's always late when he's not running it. Yeah,
that is true.
He's probably putting his D&D lid together.
Yeah, he's having a lie down after that. Yeah.
After about 90 cuts that he had to do, he's just fixing the final bits together. It took him a week.
Yeah, but on that, he did manual cuts as opposed to you can buy the cut arounds, can't you? Well, I don't know if you can on the Red Sea one, but on the DD one, I cheated. I just bought the it's already cut out and you just plug it in. It's so much easier to do it that way. To do an extra another 5 or 6 different cuts, and you've got 2 or 3 lights. That's a complete nightmare. I just wouldn't do that. I'd rather pay the money and save my time on that before it goes out the window with frustration.
Why did you not go for the DD one? Does anybody know?
It wasn't in stock.
Okay. I was wondering that myself, Ross, because we keep talking about the D&D lid and how good it is. Every single week it comes on, and then you go something different. So I thought he must have, got some intelligence from somewhere else. Yeah. Oh no, I haven't won. No. Do we have anybody who's won?
No, I don't know. So one thing I'm going to say is congratulations to Gao for yet again being the first one in the chat tonight. So that's been a few weeks in a row now that he's been first here waiting. So see if he can win the prize again tonight.
Yeah, is it 2 weeks in a row that he's actually won the competition?
Yep. Yeah. See if he can do 3 in a row.
Dedicated fan. Definitely a dedicated fan.
Well, he certainly can't say he doesn't win anything, does he? Because most people say, I never win anything. And then Gail goes, I always win. If he doesn't win this week, he'll say it's a fix.
He says if he wins a giveaway, he's going to scream, so that'll be interesting.
Steve, how are you? Good to see you, mate. Yeah, not too bad.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, Steve, we put in the chat that we were having a bet on what time you would show up at tonight. So,
who won? Anybody win?
I don't actually know who won that. I'm just looking through just now.
03, lol. Maybe Colin. Was it Colin, possibly?
Colin. I think Colin won it.
Oh,
yeah. Colin, mate. There you go.
Oh, hey, spot on.
So what's don't say that word. I keep saying don't use that word on here.
Yeah, that's banned on here, mate. So yeah, I think we'll do the same as normal, and we'll go around and see what everybody's been up to this week. So since you're at the top of my screen, Paul, we'll start with you, mate.
Yeah, so not a lot, just a couple of bits. So I had a hammer colony that must have had a good 14, 15 heads on it. And the clowns, being clowns, decided to host it. This was a few months ago. And they've killed about a third of the heads. So I fragged it earlier this week just to take it out because they just would have destroyed it. Some of the other heads were beginning to recede. And I'm thinking there's no way this is going to survive. Because they just agitate it to the point they just kill it. So what I've done, I've managed to make 4 frags out of it between about 2 and 4 heads. So that was pretty good. That's sitting in one of the other tanks. and now they've decided to host a frog spawn, which is massive. That's got about 35, 40 heads. So they'll probably do the same to that. But that's the downside of having clowns. They do tend to host anything other than you want them to. To host. So that's a real pain. So that's on that side. But the good thing is I've got 4 frags out of it. Something else. I swapped a Gold Rush Monty a little while ago for just a Zoa, and it turns out to be a day glow volcano. Meant nothing to me, and they're about 100 quid a polyp.
Wow.
And it's now got 5 polyps on it. So
wow.
So that's more expensive than any of our torches at this stage. So it does. Do you know what? It looks very similar to an Utter Chaos. I'm sitting looking at the Utter Chaos and looking at that and thinking, is that worth like 10 times as much per polyp? Which I think the answer is no. But I'll take it at 100 quid a polyp. Not that I intend to frag it and sell it, but that was a nice surprise. I'm on the lookout for a gold torch, and I've found one which is 150 quid for 1 head. But I don't know. Is that a fair value? Is that good? Is that bad? Is that spot on? I don't know. What do we think?
But what gold torch is it? Is it like?
Don't start.
There's that many different. It's true, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because if you look at Indonesian gold torches, then you've got like the Dragon Soul, that's a gold torch.
Yeah,
you have a Holy Grail, that's a gold torch. So which gold torch is it? You know what I mean? It could be any, couldn't it? But for the £150 a head is a good price for any gold torch. So for me, mate, I'd go with that, definitely.
I must admit, I just asked for a gold torch. I didn't ask for a variation on that. And I'm not really out with my torches like you guys. I just know that it's gold or it's green or something like that. But I didn't know they was all.
Yeah. No,
so I bought an Indo gold. I bought an Indo gold for 150, which I think is about obviously the same sort of price. I posted it on Instagram saying, "Oh, check out the Indo gold torch that I bought," and then I had about 90 comments going, "It's a Dragon Soul, mate." And I was like, "Oh no, what an idiot!" It's so difficult to identify unless you're someone like Northern Reefer, who's got like every torch in his tank so he can see the difference. He's the man to go to on Instagram. Just ask him; he'll tell you. But like Steve said, it's a minefield out there with the torches. I mean, these Holy Grails. I'm in the lookout for a Holy Grail, but apparently there's a lot of predominantly green versions at the moment. You may have seen them. Right. And they're called Holy Molies now. Holy Moly Guacamole.
I'm not having that. No.
You seen it? Holy Moly Guacamole. I swear to you. They're like Holy Grails, but they've got more green on. Holy moly guacamole. But yeah, £150 a head sounds about right to me, Paul.
So do you think they've called it that because then that's a common variation moment, so they can bring the price of that down a little bit, and the original, as they call it, original Holy Grail, holds it priced because there's less of it. So you're not diluting the market a little bit. So you've created a different variation on it. Well, that's what often happens.
That Holy Grail that I got, with the 2-head one, that Holy Grail, people were saying, it's a Holy Grail, but there's different variations because yours is a green tip one, So I'm like, well, I never really noticed that. And I thought, well, it looks good anyway to me, And as God as my witness, if you look at it now, the actual the tips of it, have actually turned white now. They started to turn white, the tips of them. I don't know whether it's my lighting or whether it's the nutrients in my tank or lack of it. I don't know what it is, but it's actually beginning to change colour. The actual tips of it.
White. So, all right. I thought they were either blue or green at the end, but
they put blue, green, but they say that the true Holy Grail had white tips on it. So my local LFS, he's got about 4 heads of it. So.
Thing is, there's so many torch experts out there. It's hard to know who the expert is.
So you could call that one a true Holy Grail, or you could call it a Gandalf Holy Grail. And if you call it Gandalf, I'm sure you could put an extra 100 or so. And you imagine this one, the Gandalf Holy Grail torch. I mean, that would be it. People will be throwing wads of cash at you.
Yeah.
And then if you just put OG in the front, it's going through the roof, mate. The price is whatever you want. You could buy a new house if you sell it. That's the thing. What is OG? Oh God! Is that what it is? What is OG? Oh God! Oh God! It's good. Anybody know what OG stands?
I don't know.
I don't.
I think OG is it not original gear or original something?
Yeah.
Somebody in the comments will tell us what OG
I think
means.
I think it's original summit. Yeah, it's
original genuine coral.
yeah. Otherwise,
it's not fake. Not a fake version of it. I don't know. I just keep seeing OG, and it's just like the price is like 500, 600, 800 quid or whatever. It's just I don't know.
Stupid prices.
Yeah, stupid.
There we go. There's the answers come flying in now.
What is it?
Original gangster. Original gangster.
Yes, I like that. The G's of coral.
I did not know that stood for original gangster, and I've heard it used so many times and did not have a clue.
You know what though? Harold's got a good call. They're saying, "Oh God, yeah, that's what you say when you're going to the till. That's what you actually say." You know, when you go to the till, you say, "Oh God." Oh,
that's what I thought it was. Oh God, because it's it's like because it looked so good. But where's my money gone?
Yeah, the credit card can't sustain this no more.
Oh God, the missus is gonna kill me.
That's why it costs 50 quid though, doesn't it?
The kids are on beans and toast for a month.
Mate, don't joke. We've done that week when we bought them Rainbow Chalice. We did that a week of beans on toast.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? Things have to be done, don't they, for your tank? I'd rather starve.
Are you going to go for the 150, Paul? Is that?
I think I probably will.
Yeah,
I might try and get them down on price a little bit, but I weren't too sure because I haven't really looked into it that much in terms of what's a decent price. I've bought my last torch, the green one with the yellowish tips. I bought that from the guy. He must import. He's got tons and tons of torches. So I think I'll go for it. I've been looking out for one for a little while, so I'll have a look at it. But the last one I got, you've seen some of the pictures of it. It's flourishing. It's the one that's on the sandbed at the moment. So that's a really good one. So there's that. And then the last one, Dom, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, was talking about when he sends out buckets of salt and they get busted and stuff like that. Well, Red Sea, I don't know if you've seen it. Who else has Red Sea salt? Do any of you guys use Red Sea?
Me, yeah. In Mindanao.
Yeah. So the Red Sea blue, and it's a refill. Now do it in, I think it's a cardboard box.
Yeah.
And then it's got plastic inside it. So I picked one of those up last week. So if people are going to send it out, then actually, I think probably. Sorry?
Because you know what that was for, Paul? Because, like you say, when you used to get a 25 kilo bucket, you never actually got 25 kilos of salt in it. You know what I mean? It was like 23 or something like that, 23 kilo. Because the bucket, they took into consideration the bucket weight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now they're doing it, these bags, bags, a lot of them are doing them, aren't they? Just plain bags and boxes like that.
Yeah, I've seen the bag before, but you send that through the post, it can end up splitting, but this one is a box. And also I paid 50 quid for it. And I thought that was a pretty good price for the refill, because I think the blue is about, 60 to 65, depending on where you go. Yeah, so it's 50 quid for a refill, which I don't use that much salt because I don't do many refills, but I thought it was a really good price. So 50 quid for Red Sea blue refill, so I thought I'd take that as well. And also there's no bucket, so on the downside I actually use the buckets to store my RO, but then I've got enough of those anyway, so I just thought it was pretty good just not having an extra bucket, and you've got it in a, I suppose, in cardboard and then in a plastic bag, I suppose. So that's about it really. So a bit of a quiet week, but just a couple of bits within that, but other than that, things are good.
No idea.
Paul, if you're ever not sure about buying a coral, just put the word investment in front of it. It convinces you. You go, oh, it's £150. Yeah, but it's an investment. When it gets another head or another 2 heads, I can sell it and get my money back, and it pays for itself. That's how we
good idea, mate.
My missus is on the verge of hitting me with a frying pan.
Well, just generally, or any reason.
The amount of times I say it's an investment, she goes, say that word once more. Yeah, that's what she says. I'm like, right, okay.
That is the number one word in reefing, though. Investment. It's going to pay us back in the long run. Of
course it will,
that's
mate.
True.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. My Rainbow Chalice is it's basing out quite a bit actually at the moment.
Yeah,
one of the fastest growing in my tank. So Mine's
actually spreading onto the actual frag plug. That it was based on now.
Yeah.
What I think is, I don't know whether like the light, because I've tilted it because the snails, you know, because it's on the sandbed, yeah. The snails were actually tipping it over. They were tipping it, mate. So I was like, oh, mate. So I've tilted it at an angle now. So where the light is shining on it, underneath the other side of it, it's not
getting
out.
As well.
It's not getting enough light. So I'm thinking, but on the other top part, it's getting it and it's spreading onto it. So I need to find a place like rock to actually stick it on.
Can I ask a question about chalices? I mean, I've heard that the more that you kind of cut them, within reason, obviously, don't chop them into tiny bits, but the more that you cut them, the more that they colour up.
As long as but you've got to cut it. It's the mouth, you know, the mouth of them. It's got to have a mouth. You can't.
Oh, the little eyes. The eyes.
The little eyes. Yeah, the mouth. You've got it. You can't just cut a chalice up without a mouth because it'll die straight away, mate. So you'll see, like, it'll develop another mouth, you know, as it grows, another mouth, and before you know it, you'll see one, two, three, four, and then you've got to cut it where the eyes are, where the mouths are, because if you cut it, if you cut it just as a colour, you know, oh, that's a nice bit of colour, I'll cut that, it won't survive, it'll die, mate. So it's got to have a piece of mouth to be able to survive. It's got to,
Every day's a school day, mate. I'm learning loads in this hobby. There's still so much to pick up. But I just heard about that coloration thing.
Yeah.
And I'm interested whether it was true or not.
I'll let you test it on yours before.
No. You know what I'm contemplating? I'm contemplating when it gets too big, taking it back to the shop and getting him to cut it for me, so I don't kill it, and then bring it back, and then it's an investment. He can buy the other bit off me.
So Jay, what you want to do is put a frag plug underneath it. So it grows down and onto the frag plug. And then once you've got a decent size on the frag plug, you can just cut it because they'll be quite thin. Right. If you get a really sharp knife, and you should be able to just cut around the frag plug and then it will be on that frag plug.
Yeah.
But I've done that before, but I've made sure there's quite a bit on there and actually then having an eye on there as well. And that way you haven't necessarily got the trauma of actually cutting through, because sometimes with chalices, you can actually cut them with scissors. They're quite thin, or they can be. Okay. It really depends on if it bases up or whether it bases out, because sometimes they go out like a plate, in which case I've cut them with scissors before. But then something like if you're a bit concerned about cutting it, because if you cut it wrong, they can just go white, then do it that way. So I would just put a couple of, if you know where it's coming down, put a couple of frag plugs around it so it's got a firm base, and then it'll grow over it. And then you got yourself a frag without having to frag it too much.
You know what? I've actually done that. You know where my jack-o'-lantern is. You know where it's spreading. Because I stuck mine. It was on a flag plug anyway, but now it just grows like weed. It's just growing like crazy, which is a good thing. But then I thought to myself, well, if somebody wants a piece of it, how the hell am I going to get it out? Because I'm not going to take my whole structure out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I've done now is I've broke pieces of flag plug, like Paula says, just snatch them up into little quarters, and I've just stuck it with glue. So what it'll do is it'll grow over it, and then when it grows, all I've got to do then is I've just got to snap the little pieces of flag plugs off the rock, and then replace it and do it that way. You know what I mean? Because otherwise it'll be a nightmare. You'll never be able to get it out otherwise. No. So it's a good idea.
No, that's a good little tip. That's going to help me. Thank you. No, I've noticed it's growing quite quick. I thought chalices were really slow growing. I didn't really know, but it seems to be growing quite quick, really. Quite surprised. Mizoas are growing quite well as well at the moment. They took a while to get started. I don't know how about anybody else's, because everybody says they grow like wildfire, but mine took a while to get started. But now they're up and running. Now they seem to have got into a bit of a rhythm of creating heads. It's going quite quickly now.
I think it's like anything.
Over the zoas that I got. Sorry, Paul, you go.
No, go on. You go.
I know with the zoas that I got, Jade, so the ones that I've actually had from the shop, they seem to do really well straight away. Once it's been posted, sulk for 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks when they've been posted, and then they'll start to kind of recover again. But mine's all seem to have new heads on them so far. Some's got 2 or 3 new heads on them in the space of a month or so. I don't know what the kind of normal going rate for zoas growing is, but mine seem to be doing quite well. But definitely the ones that I got posted took a few weeks more before they actually kicked into life. I don't know if that's really the case with yours or not, mate.
I think it varies from, are you lucky enough you put it in, it goes in the right place, it likes the light, it likes the flow, it hasn't been too distressed in shipping. So that's to your point, you may get a better growth rate and it might settle better if you bring it home for the LFS rather than putting it through the post. So I think it's if you can get those things right in terms of the flow and the lighting, and it takes to the nutrients, there isn't too much of a shock on that, then you're probably going to get a better result quicker. And at other times, if it doesn't like it, it might just salt for a little while. Acans, I think we've had this conversation before, Steve, haven't we, about acans? You put them in and they can have a little bit of a sulk. You don't not really flesh in, all of a sudden, bang, they're off, and you're good to go.
You know what? Those acans that I put into my display, I thought they were dying, to be truthful. They was like so cool. They were so curled up, you could see the skeleton on them. And I was like, you know, the actual base. And I was like, these are not going to survive here. And now if I could show you, if I'll show a picture, I'll take a few pictures, I'll post them. It's night and day now. You know what I mean? It's the dead puffer, dead blown up, dead puffer. It's totally different to what they was. But it took about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks for them to settle in. You know what I mean?
So my tank, someone just asked what's happening in my tank. I think my ATO just run dry. Because there's loads of bubbles.
Yeah, it looks like a spa. It looks like a spa resort over there.
Yeah,
like bubbles everywhere.
I could say, you know, when some people do the bubble, whatever it called, when you just put bubbles in the tank to take aeration.
Bubble scrubbing.
Bubble scrubbing. It's not that. I think the ATO has run dry. So I'm just going to go and do that. So I'll be back in a mo.
Yeah, we can see it, mate. I've put it full screen so we can see what's going on, but it looks like there's bubbles everywhere. Yeah.
It should take us to see the action in the sump, see what's happening there. Yeah, cheers for that, Ross. Anyway, about the zoas, because I was getting like one new head a month or something. It was right crazy, and everybody's saying, oh, they grow really quick. I'm probably getting maybe one head a week at the moment on my raspberry zoas, so they've kind of picked up now, which is really good. But like Steve was saying, you know, you have these corals and you have this idea where you want them to go, but it's wrong, isn't it? Because they decide where they want to be in terms of flow and lighting, flow, if they want to be near sand or not near sand. Yeah. So you kind of you have like a vague map. I love maps, but I have a vague map of where I'd like them to be. But sometimes they just don't go there, do they?
No, no. Like you said, sometimes that's why like certain ones, you know, like certain corals, that's why they always say to acclimate them on the sand. And then, you know, don't stick them anywhere, because the place that you want them to go, they will not go. They'll either won't open, they just won't like the flow, they won't like the light. So if they're not stuck down, you can move them about, put them in a crack and move them here and move them there, and then they find their spot and then glue them down. That's what I did with mine. You know,
never glue them down at first,
Never glued them down, and then just placed them about the rock. Sometimes they got knocked off, but you just put them back on. And then just made sure that, and then you know, they figured it out. Then they basically what they call it, they get used to it, and then you just basically stick them there. Then you know what I mean.
What's the most versatile coral? Do you know what the most versatile coral is? You know, when you're kind of looking for something to fill a gap, is it a zoa? Is a zoa one of the hardier ones? I don't know.
Yeah, it's got to be a zoa or a mushroom, I would say.
Yeah, a mushroom possibly. Yeah.
You see, zoas are good because they do fill the space. So, you know, like if you've got certain corals, like say you might have like SPS or whatever, you could stick one zoa or a couple of zoas in a place, and within like 6 months or something, they're actually covered in that rockscape. You know what I mean? And it hides the rest of the rock. They do look really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love zoas.
So the zoas, I mean, I know you can put zoas with torches and things like that, which is unusual because torches will sting stuff, but zoas are not bothered. Does zoas sting anything? Would a zoa sting any other coral, like an SPS coral or not?
No,
Are they completely friendly?
Zoas don't sting, do they? They've not got like stinging.
No. They've got toxins in them, though, haven't they?
They've got toxins, but they're not. They don't sting. They don't have sweeper tentacles or anything like that. They just no, they don't. The zoas don't sting. So that's why they're a good thing for putting in between rocks. You know, and you know, like spaces that need a bit of light and stuff, a bit of colour on it. It's perfect for them because they don't sting. They're you know what I mean, and they look great, don't they? Especially if you got a few different colours of them. You know
they do look wonderful.
Really nice.
Ross has got a brilliant garden coming along on his. I'm telling you, you got your two little peninsulas coming down, and it looks amazing already. It's going to look.
I'm starting to get there anyway. The kind of bottom two parts of the peninsula is where I want all the zoas to be. So you know, I've still got quite a few gaps that I want to fill in. There's plenty more to go in there, but I'm just trying to take it easy without adding too much at once. That's the kind of main thing, I think.
So I'll tell you what happened on the tank. It hadn't run out of water. The Red Sea Reefer has its own float switch in it. and it actually got jammed. And it's the first time that's happened for quite a while. But that's the downside of having the built-in one, because it sometimes does get a bit cruddy.
Yeah.
So what happened there then, Paul? Was it try to put more RO water in, or what was it actually doing?
So what happens with the float switch, if it gets all cruddy, it blocks it, so it won't actually fill up. So it doesn't trigger. It's the level drops. So it happens very rarely. And if I go away at all, I actually put the Tunzi auto top off in there because I wouldn't risk it. It's all right if you're, for a couple of hours and that, I wouldn't worry about it. But there's no way I would leave it overnight with no one here. So if I go away, I put the Tunzi one in. So that's a bit of a surprise. So thank you, whoever spotted that, because I hadn't. I'm too busy gassing.
No, it's a good call that was. Neil's Reef Aquarium. You should buy a Scholar. There you go. I haven't got one, but I really like them, so I think you should just get one of them.
Buy a gold torch.
There's a good gold torch going, Neil. About 150 quid.
I think he's got more than one. Or you could have a Gandalf Holy Grail from Steve.
It was 150 quid, but now 2 people want it. It's gone up.
Double bubble.
That's how business works, isn't it?
Prices go up, mate. Prices go up.
Absolutely.
So, Jay, what's been happening with you this week then?
What's been happening with my tank? I haven't done any water testing, so I'm saying it's all good at the moment. It could be an absolute shit show, to be honest. It could be everything happening, but ignorance is bliss. I've been really busy at work. So I had time to test my water, but I had some cyanobacteria at the end of last week, which I know cyano is pretty much in most tanks at some point. I know it's nothing to be worried about. It just looks a bit ugly, doesn't it? Yeah. So if you watch my YouTube video, I did step 1, which is I sucked it out with the siphon. I thought, right, I'm not going to go all in too heavy, and use cyano RX or use chemiclean on a little bit. I think that'd have been a bit over the top. Yeah. So I went in with the siphon first. I thought, well, the worst that can happen is it comes back, and then I'll just ramp it up a bit, and I'll use Vibrant next or something like that. And then if it comes back again, then I'll use Cyano RX. So I went with the natural option of just siphoning, give it a little scrub, and it hasn't returned. So I know it's only been a week, and I don't know how long it takes for Cyano to show its face again. But at the moment, it hasn't come back, so that's quite good. How long does Cyano take to come back if you clean it off? Does anybody know?
Don't know.
I've never had cyano. Oh my god!
It might not come back. If it was created by an imbalance, because obviously your nitrates and phosphates, as we've been seeing live, have been going up and down. If there was a bit of an imbalance in that can cause cyano. So it could be, if you got it back in balance, you've siphoned it out, it might not come back. Also, I find you're more likely to get it in the first 12 months as you are with kind of bacterias and algae, but no guarantee of that.
Look, someone's in your garden, Paul.
Yeah, how dare they?
It's all happening at your house tonight.
Usually it's nice and quiet. Everyone's out, but not tonight.
You can have a few takes on yours tonight. I think it's busy. The cyano's gone. So that's I'm seeing that as a good result. Wednesday water change. I don't know why, but Wednesday's become a water change day. So I did 12% water change, changed my filters. And the reason why I'm telling you, I know everybody's bored about a water change, but I actually go back to saying it's probably the most important thing. I know Steve's going to disagree now, that you can do as a reefer. If you keep up with your water changes, I reckon about 67% of your problems would never happen. And the reason why I got my cyano was because my phosphates were through the roof. They went from 0.5 or something, 0.05 up to 0.22. So they're really high. And that fluctuation, like you were saying, Paul, is what kicked my cyano off. And because I hadn't done my water change as regular, then it was still in the tank and it was kind of causing the elevated levels. So, yeah, I've done my water change. The tank is looking really good. The corals have had more growth in the last 2 weeks than I've ever seen. So I'm happy about that. The Duncan's fluffed out like a peacock's feathers. It's looking really nice, so that's always good. And I'm doing a lot of reading around SPS at the moment. I'm doing a lot of reading around there. You know, getting started on the SPS journey.
So, why's your lighting schedule changed, Jay?
What's that?
Why's your lighting schedule changed, Jay?
You git! Oh, throw me under the bus, mate. Right. So yeah. So the lighting schedule has changed. Because I watched two reasons. I watched the BRS TV video and said one thing you should never mess with is your lighting. Obviously for the consistency of the reef. And I always, for the live streams, I always turn it up so it looks better for the video. So that's one reason why it's not turned up. The other reason is because I've got some corals in there that need some stability and consistency in lighting. Yeah.
Nice. We'll say no more then, mate. We'll say no more.
We'll say no more. But yeah, no, they went in. There's a couple of testers in there that went in yesterday, and they need to have a nice stable home for their success. Let's just say that. But yeah, I am, as you can tell by the smile on my face, really happy because I think in reefing there's things that you remember, and I think like buying your tank is a really kind of exciting bit. Putting your first fish in, your first coral in, you'll never forget that. And then obviously SPS is like, oh, you're not a reefer really until you put some SPS in, you know what I mean? So I've given it a go and started my journey with there. So I'm super, super excited. Was it? Yes. The Duncan did look a bit sad actually. To be honest, the softies quite like it. The softies quite liked the phosphate being quite high and the nitrates. They didn't mind it. And I mean, to be honest, if I hadn't tested the water, I wouldn't have known the phosphates were high. By looking at the corals, it wasn't evident really.
Yeah.
But if I'd have left it a lot longer, if it were a couple more weeks, it would have been, well, dangerously high, I guess. I mean, some people have.
You're happy with your phosphates now, then, Jay? Are you?
Yeah. So my phosphate is 0.06. 0.06, and it's come down from 0.22. But some people run phosphates at 0.2, and they're quite happy with that. I know. Reef Doc was saying his was as high as 0.6, which that seems very high. But he's got a good tank, and he's got amazing wallpaper. So So I don't know. Every tank's different, isn't it?
Yeah. But I tell you what, that video you're talking about, BRS, was an excellent video because it talked about lights, didn't it? It talked about bare bottom tanks, cycling, all that kind of stuff.
Was it called something like 20 mistakes or something, or 20? I can't remember. It was quite a recent. It was in the last week, wasn't it? This week.
It was the one comparing the 160 gallon. It was the WWC form comparison, weren't it? On the 170. No,
I know which video you're talking about.
The Nano one, wasn't it? They had the Red Sea Nano that looked fantastic, full of SPS, and then there was a 170 gallon that was full of kit, cost a fortune, and it was pretty poor. And they'd said about all the mistakes they'd made. It had aptasia and all kinds of stuff. They'd used dry rock, no sand, all that kind of thing. Yeah,
that was it. It was heavily invested with technology. It was all singing, all dancing, and then the little Red Sea Max Nano kind of kicked its butt, didn't it? The best tank that they've got is the Red Sea Max Nano that's running the best, isn't it? And all they do is a water change, they were saying, wasn't it? And so I was, big up the Red Sea Max Nano crew.
There you go, Paul. Everybody's asking to see the dog, mate.
It's a really good beginner tank. If you haven't got a tank yet and you're looking for a beginner tank, the Red Sea Max Nano is a very good tank. I'm not sponsored, and I don't care if you buy it or not, but it's an easy tank because even I can run one.
There we go. There's the dog on screen. What's the dog's name, Paul?
So it's Ruby, and she's 7 months old. So he's
nice.
Is it Jack Russell Cross?
No, it's the Parsons Russell, which is
I know what you mean.
not very, very common. My wife's friend breeds them down in Devon.
Yeah.
So we went down there and picked her up.
Top of the range, Jack Russell, isn't it? Parsons one.
Yeah, so really nice. But
the
she's looking at reflection. One. Yeah, so she's looking at reflection in the. So I might close the curtain. Yeah, she's lovely, and I'm boring her because she's yawning.
Does she chase rabbits and things?
She chase anything, which goes with terriers, don't they? They dig and anything else. But a lot of terriers don't like water, but she loves water. So Neil, yeah, she is reef safe. I would say.
Well done, Neil. That was a good comment.
I'm not too sure the fish would get on with her. She goes for loving. She goes out of the garden and chases the foxes and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, she's lovely. Other than when she barks for England, like she's just been doing. She's a lovely dog. Good, really lovely dog. So we got this, and we got a tortoise, and we got fish, and we got chickens. So it's quite a few different animals. Farm. How do you manage to get all those is beyond me. My wife's had a tortoise for 47 years.
Wow.
But, lives out in the garden, never comes in the winter. Or anything.
How old's your wife?
54.
What is she?
Old. Yeah. I'm a toy boy.
I didn't think she'd be that old, you see. Wow. She said how long did they live to? About 100 tortoise?
Yeah. I've got no idea. Probably like that. And then
I think they live a long time.
We were sorting out a will the other day, and the boys were saying, like, who's having the tortoise? So we've got to put into the will who's having the tortoise, so there's no fights over the tortoise. It's down to only us. So
who's having the reef tank as well? Because apparently corals never die. So
they both said they're gonna sell it as quick as possible and coin the money. But that's commitment for you.
Cash it in. Right. Cash it in. You could charge admission on your door. You've got that many animals. Look around your farm.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that you for the week then, Jay? Is that everyone update done?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Happy days. So Steve, you're next, mate.
A quiet one again, mate. Really. I did like Jay. I tested my water. All come back relatively okay, but I did have a problem exactly like Jay, where I started getting a bit piano, and I think that was because of exactly an imbalance, in my nutrients. Because my phosphates went up like Jay's in it to 0.22, 0.23. But since I put Rowaphos in it, I've lowered it, and I tested it not yesterday, the day before, and now it's reading 0.7. So yeah.
That's a reduction.
Sums you up. That is your comment.
I'm not buying any more, says Steve.
That is genius.
Is this my wife? Is this my wife?
That sums you up, mate. That does.
This is a made-up name. This has got to be my missus. This has got to be my missus. No, I haven't added any corals this week. No, none whatsoever.
You must have spent some money, mate.
Actually, you know what I did actually buy? I bought some of that Reef Feast. Have you ever heard of it? Reef Feast. It's like it's a mixture of all. It's a food where it's got like things corals. It's mixed. It's a mixed food of like coral food and also like mysis and brine shrimp and all things like that. And I got it from Craft and Coral. And the fish and the coral, wow! I actually spot feed them, and I don't usually spot feed, the corals. I just tip it in, so I let it melt, and then I run it under the arrow water like usually, and I just tip it in. But this time I started spot feeding them, and the coral was closed up straight away, and I was like, wow. But I thought when I was reading like on the pack, I thought I'm not going to go overboard with this because it seems like it's got so much food in it. I thought it could raise nutrients up quite a lot. So I only started with a little bit, but I'm just going to give that every couple of days, every other day or something, whatever, things like that. But yeah, no, I did water changes on my nano tank. That's thriving my nano tank. Everything, it seems to be doing better than my main display actually. And I think that goes back onto like water changes, like what you said.
Yeah.
Where I do water change. I do about 15% water changing every week.
Yeah.
So it's quite a bit in a small nano, like that. So And I definitely see a change in it. It's crazy. 22 average. That is my missus, mate. That's my missus.
That is your missus. It's either that or one of your mates that is winding you up.
Yeah.
Steve, I don't know if you've seen this comment, mate, that Paul UK Reefer put up. Sent his cage keeper back, couldn't get any consistency out of it, and firmware messed it up. So he sent it back for testing, got damaged in transit, and got store credit.
Oh, right. No, you know what? Touch wood. I'm not going to go on to the KH keeper all this time, that's for sure, yeah, but touch wood. It seems, since that guy said to me, I can't remember who it was, to put the actual float valve in the water, yeah, it's been consistent all the way since last week. It's not been up, it's not gone down, it's been rock steady, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know whether it was just my mistake, you know, that I just didn't read the instructions right or what, but since I put it under the water, the actual float, the actual filter, I've not had a problem, you know what I mean? So I have lowered my KH now because I was hearing, and a lot of people were saying, like, you know, about my SPS growth. I mean, I get good growth on like the you know, the easier ones to grow, yeah, but the other ones, they're more like basing out, which is not a bad thing. But I thought to myself, they're not sprouting up, you know, like they're not growing, they're more basing out. So yeah. What a friend of mine said, it could be because your alkalinity is too high, you know what I mean, and it's detrimental sort of thing. So I thought, well, you know what, I'll reduce it, and I'll see how it goes. So now I've lowered me alkalinity. Now it's reading about 9.2. So it's come from 10.5, 10.4, 10.5. So now I've got it to 9.2. I'm going to keep it there, and I'm just going to see how it goes from there. But it's been rock steady at 9.2, 9.3. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, other than that, mate, I did all my testing. I cleaned the sump again, all the sump again, because I kept on getting this slime. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was eggs or what, or any, I don't know. But it was all in my sump, and it was like all over me, like me heater. It was over my skimmer. It was everywhere. I was like, what the hell is this? And I don't know what it is now. I don't know if it was like a bacteria bloom, or I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But I seen it, and it was like slimy. It looked like football type thing in my tank. Well, I tested the water, and everything came back. But yeah, I don't know what it is, mate. What's that?
It's saying that your mic's got feedback, but I'm not really picking that up.
Does it sound echoey? Is it echoey?
It sounds all right to me, but I don't know.
Well, it sounds all right to me, mate, but maybe I don't know. I've got the earphone in, so.
That was a good comment from Bravo 20. He was saying that he's probably basing out because he's getting ready to grow upwards, the coral. Yeah, because obviously it needs a platform, doesn't it? So maybe that I can see the science in that.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, what's it called? The stylopoda did exactly the same. A lot of acropodas do that. They base out first and then they grow up. But I'm talking like corals that I've had in my tank 18 months, 15 months. Do you know what I mean? They're basing out. They're based out all over the rock, but they're not growing up. So I don't know. We'll just see. Maybe they just might be basing out coral. I don't know. You know what I mean? And that might all do. I especially SPS. I don't really know. You know, like the names of a lot of them. To be truthful, I just see an SPS and I go, I like that. I'll have it. You know what I mean? And I buy it. So 4 foot inside.
You're looking at a 4 foot shark. Jesus. Yeah. You're going to need a swimming pool for that, not a tank. Imagine that's like a small child. That's like an 8-year-old child. It's huge.
Definitely.
There's a couple of people said that now, Steve, that they can hear it. So, echo. I don't know what's going on there, mate. I can't really hear it, but I've got a headphone in, so maybe that's why. But
Steve, you got it going on 2 devices?
No, mate.
Just I can hear a little bit of feedback on it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it echoing?
I can hear it fine, but
it's all right at the moment.
Because I'm surprised you haven't told us about the KH keeper, because you normally do, but.
No, that's what I said, mate.
That's another thing as well, because you talked about water changes, Steve, and you're saying that it's working really well on the Nano, but I know you've opted not to do them on your main display, which I know is like your main display is amazing, so it probably doesn't need them. But why why do you think it doesn't need water changes on that main display?
You know what it was at first. I was going with like the Triton method, where where you don't do water changes.
Yeah.
I went with that originally.
Yeah.
And then I basically stuck with it. I thought, you know what, it seems to be working. And somebody said, don't change something that doesn't need to be changed. You know what? You're right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've just stuck with that idea of like just leaving it. You know what I mean? Well, that's the reason. So, like I said, I've not done anything for 18 months.
It looks amazing, but I always think my tank looks better after a water change. But your tank seems to look amazing. So, what's the right answer? I don't really know.
Because you
I think it
see, with you like doing water changes, you're putting all the elements back in. You know what I mean? Through your salt and stuff like that. Whereas I have to manually dose mine. So that's why I dose all my elements, into my tank. Because my tank's not getting any elements in. It's only getting the alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. So that's why I dose like boron, vanadium, iron, stuff like that. I dose all of them into it. So basically it stops me from doing water changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it seems to work.
Yeah.
I'm halfway around the world. I can believe it or not, I can actually hear a little bit of it now. Just look. Ross, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off. I'm just going to go off and then log back on and see.
No problem, mate.
Yeah, I think I'll see whether that works. It might work, it might not. But
see you in 20 minutes, mate.
Yeah.
So Jay, on the tank behind me, I did water changes every week religiously for the first 12 months.
Yeah.
And it worked. As the tank matured, I stopped doing water changes on the tank, but also I used no pox to take nitrate and phosphate out, and then using dosing to put the main 3 elements in, and then manually dosing things like potassium and other elements, the minor elements.
Yeah.
So
you just changing your filters, not your water, to export nutrients.
Yeah. So all I've got filter socks on the 450, which are a bit of a pain. And I just changed those over, and that's where.
Is this a common thing with people with mature tanks? Then, when they get to a certain age, do a lot of people decide that they don't need to change the water anymore? Is that? I'm just trying to understand it. What point do you know you can do that? And
what was the trigger for it? Like, that's the thing. Yeah.
I just decided to stop at about 12, 14 months. Spoke to a couple of people, and they have mature tanks, and I thought the tank was pretty stable, and I didn't need to do it, and I wasn't putting stuff in for elements at all, so it wasn't for that purpose, and things were pretty rock solid.
So I think I've sussed the microphone issue, and I think it's actually maybe you, Jay, that it's echoing through, because it was doing it with Paul there, and then I muted you and it stopped it. So I don't know if you've got yours on a bit too loud, maybe, Jay.
Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. I'll leave and then I'll try and reconnect.
See if there's something that's causing it. I don't know.
Yeah, how do I leave up there? Right,
okay. So, Steve, do you want to try and see how users?
Can you hear me now, mate?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I think it's got to be Jay. I think.
Yeah, I can't hear any echo in there now.
Yeah.
I could hear it before. Actually, I could just hear it just towards the end, but no. Bravo 20. Yeah, I've just bought a gold torch, mate. Just bought a gold torch online. No. Yeah, it must be Jay.
I think it was, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crystal clear now.
Yeah. What's that, Sally? Mogsy, your tank looks sweet. Water change for the fish, yeah? You know what? What's that noise?
Think it. Jay, you're the culprit here, mate.
Do you, mate?
Oh, my. What's happening here? I don't know what's happening.
Sounds like you're under a waterfall, then. Sound like you're
JB's saying your mic's up too much and background volume up. I don't know.
Let's have a look. Right, I'll leave.
I mean, there was a couple of comments there, Jay, saying perfect now you were gone.
cheeky sods. Yeah, I saw that on the chat. Yeah.
So, what was I going to ask you, Steve? Actually. Oh yeah.
It's been a fairly quiet one, but that was another thing. I don't know about you guys, but finding a clownfish. I've been trying to find the clownfish. A lot of the places I fingered that they only have them in pairs. Pairs. Yeah. So when I say to her, "Have you got any single clownfish?" She said, "Oh no, they're only in pairs." And I was like, "Oh man." So obviously I'm not going to get a pair of clownfish. So I'm just waiting on getting another little clownfish for this guy, in here. And then well, it's been a bit of a nightmare trying to find one, to be truthful. So I might have a go. The only place I've not been to is a place called Oasis down in Salford. So I might have to go down there, tomorrow. Pay that place a visit, see if they've got any single ones. But yeah, there's other than that, mate, it's been a fairly quiet one. No buying, no things. So yeah.
Because I know that the shop that I go to get all my stuff from, Nessie's Lair, they sell the clownfishes, but they're in pairs, obviously. So I mean, you can really only buy pairs. I don't know if I've seen anybody selling single ones that I can think of, to be honest with you.
That's what I mean. Yeah, a lot of clownfish are in pairs when they get them. When they sell, unless they buy like a load of like Ocellaris clownfish, in bulk. So there's like 20 of them in an aquarium. Other than that, mate. You know what I mean? When you see them, it usually separate them. So they usually sit and they go, "Oh no, you're selling them as a pair." So it'll be like 2 for whatever, £40, £50. So they're not going to. They do it that way, don't they?
So Steve, I've missed that. So what, you've been looking around, but you can't see a single clown?
No. My LFS is I've only got one more which I can try, but the other 2 or 3 that I've tried, they've got them in pairs. So some of them have got like the frostbite ones and stuff like that, but they're only pairs. Some of them have got, I tried the Abyss. I did try the Abyss, Well, I think they've all gone, mate, to be truthful, because I went there, when did I go? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday, I think I went there. We didn't have any, or I didn't see them, you know what I mean? And I was looking for them, so no, I didn't see them, mate.
It's not something I've ever really seen as, a single clownfish for sale. They are usually always in pairs, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a good point. Maybe worth asking on groups, see if anyone's got one that they'd sell.
Yeah, good point, actually, yeah.
I mean, like, are you on Ultimate Reef, which, I mean, it's very old school because it's a forum, but you get some really good, I find good stuff on there from Tank Breakdowns. So you never know, there might be someone on there. Or there's some band groups in there where you can actually sell livestock. Band groups are pretty good for people selling fish and corals and stuff.
There you go, mate. There's an offer for you.
It's gone on a murder spree. No, you know what I mean? No. No. I mean, you see, we was talking one bit last week where I said I want to get a similar sort of size one, and then you said, "Think you don't get get one either slightly smaller or slightly bigger." So obviously this little guy that I've got in here is only a small one. He's only a small little fish, you know what I mean? So I'm thinking maybe I don't think you can get actually any smaller, you know what I mean? Other than like if it's a little fry. So I think we'll have to get a bigger one, but something not too big that's going to eat it. You know what I mean? And we wanted to try and get on, hopefully. You know what I mean? And hopefully not jump out the bloody 1 inch gap that I've got around the side, because knowing my luck, mate, that's what's going to happen. I swear to God. You know, a little tiny about that big, it's about half an inch or something. It's going to jump out in it. He'll find that gap.
Yep.
So if it's quite small, then you probably could add another baby. So if you see them in there where they've got 8 or 10 babies, as long as it's smaller than that, as I say, I won't go for the same size. But you can go for something slightly bigger. Slightly bigger,
yeah. That's what I'm thinking of doing. I did have a chance. There was one of them. I can't remember. But I think it was like something like a frostbite or a storm. Oh, it was a storm. You know, the stormfish one, the storm one, yeah. And it was a single. And Dom had it in his store in Crack and Corals. And I thought, you know what? I looked at it and it was slightly bigger. It was slightly bigger. I thought, and it was single. It was on its own, and I thought, yeah, but an orange one and then one of them, will it go? I thought, you know what? I might come back to it. and I never did. And now I wish I did buy it. I should have bought it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never mind.
I'm not a lover of those, but it's down to choice. I do like the frostbite, and I do like Picassos are probably the favourite clowns. I just think they're really nice. Got a pair of those in one of the other tanks.
Yeah, I love Picassos. Like I said, maybe getting a mixed, maybe getting a different breed species, you know, breed one. Maybe it might be okay. I'll probably do that.
He's back. Let's see if this sounds any better now.
I don't want to make a noise just in case it.
That's better, Jay.
Now we can't hear you at all, Jay.
What was that?
Couldn't run it
Turn
straight
the
to the other.
microphone right down so you can't hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me enough?
Yeah, that's better, that, mate. Yeah. No echo there.
Good.
Yeah, that's much better, mate.
I can hear a dog. Is that mine? I don't know if that's mine or not.
No, that's mine. It's in the kitchen now, but it's not having any of it.
Oh well, that's good. I take it that's you for the week then, Steve, is it?
Yeah, that's me, mate. Yeah, that's me.
Happy days. So for me anyway, not massive amounts again. I have got 2 new corals in the tank, which I got from AM Corals. He was in the chat last week, so I got some from him sent up. So they're in the tank. They'll be in the next video that's coming on. And I suppose the only other thing was, I know we had the whole saga with the super silent, noisy jackhammer pump that Steve recommended to me.
Come on.
I'm not going to let you live that one down, mate.
I know. Hey, well, it's quiet on my tank, mate, so I'm going to go with
I know.
I've seen. You know what I mean, mate?
So on that one, I went back to the standard water box pump, but believe it or not, it started to get noisy as well. So I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? So I just messaged the guys at Waterbox that I had been speaking to and said, the pump's been in there for about 4 months now and it's starting to get noisy. So I didn't get a response back. And then 2 days later, I got a new pump sent through to the house at the door. So 2 days and there was a new pump there. So I'm not quite sure where that came from. If it obviously came from the UK, because it was only 2 days after I actually emailed them. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good service that, you know, there was a pump come 2 days later. So I
box, don't they? You know what I mean? Considering they're an American company, mate, you know what I mean? They seem to be really good, don't they?
I know. There must be some kind of UK distributor that's sending stuff out, I would imagine, as a kind of on their behalf, because it did come out, like I say, rapidly before I even got a reply from the email. So yeah, that's literally been it for me this week. Not a lot of stuff.
Did you get your prize from Waterbox? You know, because you were on the you're in their Hall of Fame for best tanks. Did they? we tried to guess what you're going to be given, like a new tank, didn't we?
I know. So they've said it's been sent. That's for sure, because they've said it's been sent, but not arrived yet. So it must be coming from America, and I think it must be T-shirts or stickers, or you know, it'll be something like that. It's definitely nothing any bigger than that. That's for sure. But I was really impressed with them for sending that out straight away. You know, not even any questions asked of, you know, is it, you know, can you send us a video of it or anything? It was just a case of, here's a new pump. So
yeah, that is good service.
Customer service. That's awesome.
Either that, or as Harrow says here, that was my prize. It was a pump.
Very true.
It could well have been that. Yeah, so I'm also.
Order, though, isn't it, Ross? Isn't there congratulations in order?
Oh, well, I suppose, yeah, I did hit 500 subs a day on YouTube, so that was a big milestone for me. So thanks to everybody who has subscribed to me. That's brilliant. So thanks very much. And on that note, I'm going to do a giveaway on Instagram and so on soon. It'll probably be next week. There's quite a few companies involved in that, some good prizes there. So if you keep an eye out on that, then you'll see what you can win. But that's pretty much it for me this week, actually, but not massive amounts again. So I did have a question for you guys.
In the tank, Ross, any ideas what's going in next? I want to know. I'm intrigued.
Oh, I can tell you what I've just put in.
Is it going to be a fish or a coral?
Coral.
Oh, so there's a new coral in there, is it? Oh.
Yeah, there's 2 of them, mate. And they're actually probably the brightest corals I've ever put in my tank. The colours on them was phenomenal. So I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like a neon red mushroom type thing. and really, really bright colours, mate. Really bright colours. But the kind of, not dilemma, but the issue I had when they came, they weren't attached to any rocks or any, they just had the feet on them. There was some gravel on it. So, I was a bit kind of unsure what to do. And when I spoke to Corals, they says, sit them on the sand bed, they'll be fine, it's all right at that. So I actually just sat them on some kind of lower flow areas of the rock, and they've stuck to that straight away, and they've expanded rapidly to that. So, I mean, they've opened to probably 4 or 5 times the size of what they were when I had them. And they seem to be doing really healthy. But that's where I was going to go. My next question was, what is the script for if you get a mushroom that's not attached to anything? I've seen all these mushroom boxes and so on. And I'm going to get one from, who was it that I was speaking to about that? I can't remember, but I'll come back to that. But looking at getting a mushroom box, but I just wondered what's the right way to do it with a mushroom? Have you guys any experience with that?
Yeah, you're best off buying one of those mushroom boxes, the mushroom boxes. And then what I did with my other mushrooms was I put them in with bits of rubble rock. What I had, basically left it in, and I put them on when it was a low flow area, so it wasn't being blown out of the box. So I raised it slightly higher, and then there wasn't as much flow. And then basically after maybe 3 or 4 days or something, they actually just stuck to the rock. And then you could just literally pull them out and place them where. Once they're stuck on the rock, they tend to stay there. You know what I mean? They don't really tend to move. You know what I mean? So it's just it's just that thing. They need to just stick. So for me, definitely get a mushroom box, or any sort of box. You know what I mean? I think the very first time I did it with was a plastic box. The Tupperware boxes. I had one there and just drilled a couple of holes in it. Put some sand in it just to hold it down and put rock in it, and it works a treat. So that's the way I'd go. Yeah,
same here. If you've got a sump, then it's a lot easier because the sump usually the flow's a little bit easier to control. If not, I just put it in a corner where there's a little bit of a dead spot, a couple bits of rubble rock, set it on there, and it'll attach to one of those pieces, and then you can move it and glue it to where you need it to be. Usually doesn't take that long. But it's just finding the right space, because you don't really want any dead spots, do you? But in that situation, you do want a dead spot to put it in.
Yeah. There you go, mate. There's a comment. KH Keeper reagent, only one dose out of it. Do you want me to send it over to you? Going to waste here.
Oh, I think Paul Reefer Community's got in on it. I think he's got it. I appreciate it.
I thought he was blithering. I thought he said the other week that he didn't use his, or he hadn't set it up or something. But
no, he's set it up now. He set it up.
All right.
I saw he set it up. He was on the Reef Factory Facebook page the other day. I think asking some questions, if I remember rightly, Paul, weren't you, around calibrating it and stuff like that, because it can be quite tricky, like you say, Steve, about the water filter.
Yeah, it was definitely tricky. Well, you know what? It wasn't tricky. You know what it is? It's just. It takes too many times, when it calibrates, it goes, and then it's got to be like 50 mil, the calibration of the tank water, and then it can only be like 0.5 under or 0.5 over. So I was getting like 52, or I was getting 49, or I was getting 51. So I wasn't in that frame. It was always over. So I was forever recalibrating it until I got it spot on. So it's more fiddly like that, just getting it balanced. But I just went with the point of that it was, because it's a new machine, the pumps are all new, all things like that. So, and touch wood, it seems to work, you know what I mean? So it seems bang on now. And I think it was just my mistakes, what I had with it. I know one of them, it was Paul, he just said that he sent his back because it was inconsistent and stuff. And that the firmware update didn't work. Well, the firmware didn't update it on mine as well. So what you got to do is you have to reset it back to the factory settings, with a magnet that comes with it. And then I spoke to a guy who works for him. He's a distributor over here. And I spoke to him, really good sound guy, fantastic lad. Well, he stayed on the phone with me. And he taught me through it, like how to redo it, reboot it, and stuff like that. And he was, 10 out of 10 for the customer service, with him. And within like 15 minutes, it was back up and running. So, seems good up to now. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, I think.
I did see on that there was an update came out for the first one. The first update came out and it didn't work or caused issues. So they sent a second update out. I think that was maybe something to do with it.
Yeah, that was the one that I went with, the first one. And what it did was it basically froze the system. So it basically like it was just swirling around like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no update going on it. So you had to basically reset it back to the factory settings and basically restart it all over again. But the funny thing with it was once you reset it back to the factory settings, it automatically updated the software on it. So when you went on, you had the latest firmware on it. So it was crazy. But the guy said, but then I read on the forum that this was from Reef Factory, don't let anybody do it. Until they say do the firmware, don't do it. And then it came out a few days later, and it was all right then. But I'd already had it installed by then, so yeah, it was good to go.
That fish on Raven. Raven. Where's Raven Core? Her logo or his logo. What is that fish? It's a beautiful fish. What is it? On Raven Core. And
it's a flame angel. It's a flame angel.
Right.
It's a flame angel.
Beautiful fish. Yeah. That one there, yeah. What tank
flame
size?
Angel.
What's the minimum tank size for that?
250. Yeah. They don't grow. They don't grow that big, Jay. They don't grow that big. They don't.
Yeah. They're quite partial to some corals, though, aren't they? I don't think they're reef safe. You get some where people are lucky to that they don't, but I think they munch on LPS.
Well, they say reef safe with caution. They say, you know what I mean? Reef safe with caution. So if ever you see that reef safe with caution, stay away from it, because that's saying, you know what, you're asking for trouble. You know what I mean?
It needs to be in a predator tank, fish only.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah.
So this question from Neil here, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Got £1,000 to spend each. What are you buying?
What? Reefing related?
I'm going to say yeah.
Is this equipment related, or is this coral related? Which one?
Anything.
Anything.
Yeah, you got £1,000. What you spending on?
Oh God, let me think. £1,000.
So
I'm getting a Red Sea Nano tank.
Yeah,
a bigger tank. I'm going to get a Red Sea Nano tank with the stand. That's what I'm going to get in my kitchen. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do eventually. A bigger tank, because this is more rectangle. This one what I've got here. So I want more of a structure where I can build a structure, and I'll turn it in. This is going to be definitely a future build. But I'm gonna do it from scratch, like build up all the way from scratch, and I'm gonna do something like that. But it'll probably be towards the end of the year. That's what I'd do. Definitely. Grand.
So I think I would kit out the floating aquascape a bit more. So I'd go for another Nero 3. So you got another wave maker on it. Go for another rainbow chalice. I'd put that in there quite low down. Another Scully. Pay for the gold torch. That's probably, you're not going to get much more change out of that. What's that? What, 600? That's 750. Just those. And then what other corals do I need to go? Probably get a clam. Never had a clam before. So I'd probably get one of those small, bright blue ones. Can't remember the name of that.
I'd love probably
another 100. Yeah, another 100. Yeah, so that's, and then I've got 200 left. So what would I spend on that 200? Make it another Scully. There we go. So that's 2 Scullies. So
you're not going to get a Scully for 200, mate. You're not going to get a Scully for £200.
Well, that one, that one I've got, the one that you've seen, that was 150.
Oh,
that was a bargain.
It was, and I've asked the guys when he gets some more in, because that was a reverse bleeding apple. I'd like to get a proper bleeding apple and then have them next to one another. So I think I might have been lucky just to get that. I don't know, because 150 is pretty good for a Scully, especially one like that. So, but yeah, I think I've spent my £1,000.
Jay, what about you, mate?
2 ways to go with this. So I'd get a Holy Grail and a jawfish, blue spot jawfish. That's probably the best part of £800 there, really. And then
so sorry, how much a jawfish? A jawfish really expensive as a fish?
250 quid.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realise there was that much.
Yeah, they've gone through the roof, them things.
Is that because Neil's has Neil got one?
Neil's bumped up the price of them.
I was about to say he's got one. He's put it on his video, and everyone's gone for it. So it's Neil's fault, is it?
Absolutely.
Neil's created some a bit of demand.
There's someone's put in the comments for £1,000 a yellow tang. Right, it's getting that way. It's getting that way.
They can have my yellow tang for £1,000.
I'll fish it out.
Hey, tell you, mate.
So,
some of those yellow tangs, though, they've gone through the roof, mate. So I don't know whether people are actually putting it on for a laugh to see if they can actually get them, or whether they actually seriously think that they're going to get. I seen one advertised for £400 for a yellow tang, mate, and I was like, "There's no way, £400 for a yellow tang."
Well, has it gone?
Like, I don't know. I don't know whether he was messing about or what, but he said he's got selling it for £400. Another guy.
I think that's the going rate at the moment.
Wow.
Well, there's $400 in Florida just now for a yellow tang.
Wow. You know what? Maybe it is then. Shit.
Because on Eat Sleep Reef, is it Eat Sleep Reef? Who's killed? There's one that's died in a quarantine tank. I think it might be his channel. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you? You'd be gutted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think I could part with that amount of money for a fish.
Yeah, that's gone through the roof really quick. Because last time there was Hawaiian ban, which I think was about 18 months ago. And of course, at that time, you couldn't get yellow tangs. The price went up, but nowhere near as much as they've gone up this time. So I don't know if it's a combination of Hawaii and somewhere else, so therefore there's no supply whatsoever. But they've definitely gone up more this time than they did when there was a ban before.
Well, Neil's just put one here saying Reef Dreams had one for £450.
Yeah,
Reef Dreams.
I believe that.
Wow, it's just, you know what?
Are people paying these prices? That's the thing.
I think I paid £55 for that. £50, £55.
Investment, Steve. Investment.
You know what? I'm going to tell my missus it's an investment. It's an investment. I only wish it could have babies. That would have been a flipping. Imagine that. Wow.
No. So there's Shane Emery saying Flame Angel's $80, Juvenile Emperor Angel $60. Why are things nuts?
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it?
Right. So I take it the Hawaiian thing has affected, the American trade just as much then, judging by those prices.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got low shipping costs, haven't you? Because it's obviously there. And so therefore I would imagine the fish from there would have been cheapish compared to flying it in from, say, Indo or Australia or places like that. So it would have a big impact.
There you go there. Yellows were $30 until a year ago.
Well, to 400. I paid 30 to 50 quid to mine. Mine was about 3.5 years old, my yellow tang. But you wouldn't have thought it. They were 10 a dozen. You can go and get them. You can easily get them. You didn't think of it. I mean, I got it because they're lovely fish and they are superb, but I wouldn't pay that kind of money for
I've got to admit my missus said she like the big when we got it, the missus because there was a few of them, and where I got it from, and the missus says, you know what, why don't we get like 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them and put them in? And I thought, you know what, and I thought, you know what, that looked really nice. That I thought it would look really nice, but I had the brown lavender tang in my tank already, lavender tang, and I thought, God, I can't be bothered. I can't be, messing about with all these that fight. I said, let's just get to one and then we'll see about it. And I never did. But I only wish that I got all 3, 3 of them or something like that. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have got all 3 because they do look stunning in the tank.
Yeah, stunning. Yeah. The colours are stunning. Are they also like a utility fish as well? Do they actually
algae eaters. So they eat all your algae off the back wall.
Yeah, they are great for that. They're constantly picking and they do need algae. So I feed the algae rings and also strips of nori as well because they do need to be kept healthy. They do need quite a lot of algae and algae foods.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's quite an interesting point there from Shane again. Sorry, just saying that's an interesting one. That's saying one guy gave a permit to fish for the hobby. One guy's got all the power now.
Monopoly.
Yeah. Monopoly. Yeah. Good, very, spot on there. Definitely. Spot on.
It's ridiculous, though, isn't it? I mean, you think they would still try and keep the trade fair rather than that, but...
Yeah. And I
take it they're almost impossible to breed then, are they?
It comes on to greed, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It comes on to greed, doesn't it, as well? You know what I mean? Yeah. I know people are saying, we've talked about it in the past, haven't we? Where people said, the cost of, like, shipping the cost of like the containers, the cost of this, the cost of that. Yeah, so I can appreciate prices going up, but they haven't gone up by that much. Surely, I'm not. You know what I mean? Where you could get them for $30 and now they're going for $450. They're still coming from the same waters, aren't they? You know what I mean? I don't understand where the prices are coming from.
It's supply and demand, isn't there? There's no supply.
Species, though, is there genuine scarcity of the species? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think there is. I think there's loads of them in Hawaii. That's not the reason. I don't think in terms of scarcity. The scarcity is because people can't take them out the ocean, so there's no supply. So therefore, the demand just goes through the roof, or even if it stays the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what was it that brought the ban on then? I don't really know what started that.
It's usually conservation.
I think it is. I think it's got something to do with like conservation, hasn't it? Yeah.
I think it's a combination of that, or people unhappy around potentially how people are taking things out of the ocean. I don't know the detail around it, so it's a combination of scarcity, or just people think, are people doing it illegally? So therefore, people get a bad name. Therefore, the governments come down on it. I don't know too much of the detail about how.
I wasn't sure if there was some kind of event that happened, or something that triggered it, or if it was just a protest as such.
I think you get people that lobby and say it's bad, and so therefore they lobby against the governments, and therefore they put a stop on it. But I'm not really speaking from a position of confidence or knowing it inside out, or even scratching the surface on it. I know from what I read, and I'm not too sure if that's what it is.
Yeah, I think though there's a comment there: not conservation, whiny politicians.
Could well be.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to go for a swim and see how many there is.
Oh, mate, there were tons of them. Tell you.
Yeah.
Tons of them.
If I don't spend £1,000 on those things, I'd put it towards an upgrade. That's the other thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
We're on the £1,000 thing, aren't we?
300, something like that. I think that's like the perfect tank size. You can get a lot of choice, but it's not ridiculously big. I know Steve's you've got a 300, haven't you, Steve? Is yours, Paul? 300? Yours
350.
No, this is a 450. I've also got a 3-foot tank, which is a 280 litre. That's a DD Reef Pro 900, and that's a really nice tank. The only downside, I think, to a 3-foot tank is there's no dry cabinet area for it. So in which case, a lot of people now buy cabinets that go to the side of the tank, in which case I think why don't you just go for a 4-foot tank? I'm a really bad DIY person and clumsy, so I would hate to put any of the power switches or anything above the sump, because I know what's going to happen. It's going to end up in the sump. So that's, whilst I like the 3-foot tank in the garage, it's not a problem because I've got the plug sockets all over the place. It's not a problem, but I don't think I would buy a 3-foot tank to have anywhere that's on show because of that. I go for a 4-foot, and you got a nice cabinet. That's my personal view on that.
You know what you said there, actually? I remember a video that I watched again that said something like most things in reefing are programmed for like in twos. So like the radiant lights are for like a 2-foot or a 4-foot. So if you've got 3-foot, you kind of buy it. I don't know if you lot have seen this, but you're kind of paying extra for stuff you don't need. Or you haven't got enough, so I don't know about.
Well, they always say, don't they? Like your twos, yeah. So if you like your light, say, would be sufficient for a 2-foot to 2-foot square. So you best up to like 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot. So instead of going like for you're not going to go for a 3-foot, because a 3-foot you'd still need 2 lights because 1 light won't be enough. Things like that. That's So you go off a 2x2 square usually. That's what they tend to go with. So it's easier. You know what I mean? So you'll get a 6-foot tank, a 4-foot tank, and a 2-foot tank, or an 8-foot tank, whichever one you want. You know what I mean?
So after talking to you guys, I'm putting towards a 4-foot tank.
So what ones would you look at? Would you look at Red Sea, Waterbox,
I'm not
DD?
precious about Red Sea. I'd look at Red Sea. I'd look at Waterbox. And any that, even a custom made one, I don't really know what type at the moment. But that sort of size, I'm thinking. Yeah.
The DD tanks seem to get a good name as well, though, don't they?
That's the one I've got, and the one I like about that is that the cabinet is ready, is built already. And I think any bit of furniture that's already built compared to a flat pack, you can tell the difference in the quality, because obviously it's made in the factory. they deliver it like that. So that was one of the reasons why I went for DD, the 900, because the cabinet is really well built, and also the cabinet's quite high. So you can actually get your head into the sun, which I know sounds really silly. But if you've got a really tight area and you're trying to mess around with the back of the tank, looking at the return pump, or if you've got a clarity, which is obviously where the downpipe is, so you have to reach across. It's just a lot easier, I find, to maintain the inside. So if I compare the 450 here in terms of maintenance in the sump, the DD is far easier because I can actually reach into it. Just a small point, but for me, it did make a bit of a difference. So I'd recommend the Red Sea, and also I'd recommend the DD. Also, the DD ones, the tanks are a little bit shallower. The height of the tank is not as high on the 900 or the 1200 compared to a Red Sea. So actually, they're two very different tanks in terms of front to back, potentially, unless you go for like the 425. Which is a 4 foot, and that's 2 foot front to back, and it's a bit more of a shallow tank as well. And also the weirs are completely different. You've got the weir is in the middle on a Red Sea, whereas on a DD they go from right to left at a bit of a slant, and so they're a little bit more subtle. So when I compare the two, I think they're two very different tanks. And also with the DD one, you can get that ready made to just put your clarity in. You haven't got to mess about with the pipe work. It comes the pipe work's already done, so all you have to do is slot the clarity in, and it's sorted. No cutting any pipes or anything like that. But I think they're two the same size-ish, but not chalk and cheese, but they are two different type of tanks depending on what you want to go for.
So did DD do a peninsula tank, or do they just do the standard ones?
They just do a 3 foot, 4 foot, and a 5 foot. They don't do a peninsula. But obviously Waterbox do a peninsula, don't they? And Red Sea do a peninsula. I must admit, if I was going for a peninsula, I would potentially go for something like Aquarium for Life. They do custom, and they've got really good reputation at a good value point. Or I'd go for Aquarium.
What was the one that Reef King was getting his built from?
ND Aquatics.
That was the other one.
Local to us. I think they just ran the M25, and then Paul from RCW's got, I think, Aquarium Connections, which is Vince, who was the one who donated the ICP. Their tanks are spot on, but they're not the cheapest. They have beveled edges, cut at 45-degree angles, so a really clean finish. So it really depends on the price point you want to pay as well.
Yeah. Listen, you could go stupid prices, can't you? Yeah. You know what I mean? I just seen. I can't remember who it was. He was talking about. Let me see if I can see it now. Who actually was it now?
But certainly,
Shane was. No, Shane. He said something about like thoughts on a 24 depth one. That's the one there, compared to a 30 deep. He said that's inches, fellas, primarily for lighting. and it goes, you know what though? It goes with like what we just spoke about with like the light spread. Yeah, I think BRS did a thingy on it. Tested it of like how much light can penetrate, through the water, depending on the depth of. So, and I think they came up with the conclusion that 24 inches was like the maximum. Any lower than that, you'd have to lower your lighting down. And then obviously the pad on the top of the tank would be quite high. Too high, just to get enough light, down in the corners and stuff and on the sandbed. Yeah. Because I think with that, I wouldn't go more than 24 inches, me. I would stick with the 24 and not go further. Well, that's my opinion. That's what I would go with. I wouldn't go with any deeper than that.
Because I was also saying your lights. I think it was for radians. I think it was 9 or 12 inches high, because that was the optimum in terms of the spread, but also getting down to the depth. But I would look at BRS, because they did do all the in-depth stuff around 24, 30, and would you have to add potentially another light if it was deeper at 30, which obviously adds to the cost. But then if you've got a 30-inch deep tank, you can do more with your aquascape, can't you? You could have a real stunning deep or a higher scape on that. So I think it really depends on your preference. But I mean, if you look at the Gen 5s, and again, if you look at what's said about that, Gen 5s are spread and all that. I was saying, it's on the same video we was talking about earlier on, Jay, with the Gen 5s. They're probably some of the best spread they get, even compared to ones that haven't got a puck. and their spread was as good as T5s, they were saying in some of the tests they've done. So they was really bigging up the Radian Gen 5 compared to most other lights.
Yeah. Speaking of new tanks, Cajun Reefer, she's just set up a new tank, a water box. That looks really smart. The one that she's set up on.
It's really nice, that one, actually.
On Instagram, yeah. It looks like a piece of furniture, obviously for the living room, but it looks really smart. You know, the water boxes look good. But going back to what you were saying, Paul, I've never come across a bad DD product. They all seem to be absolutely brilliant. So I think the DD tanks are definitely worth looking at. I'm going to look into those. But yeah.
So I think we've got a bit confused. Well, we didn't get confused. We read it wrong, I think, there. Because Shane was saying that he actually meant front to back, not the actual depth.
Oh,
right. Okay, so in terms of that, I think
he actually knows that part now, doesn't he? So we know.
So we'll move to that one now.
Yeah, so front to bank, I think a lot of lights are designed for 2 feet. But what you could do, you could go for a hybrid, and you can put I think you can put spacers on it, so that would help, because then you've got T5s, you've then got LEDs in the middle, and then you've got T5s at the edge, and with that kind of spread, you would definitely get to 30. Or you could do what you've got, Steve, on yours. That would work, I think, on a 30 inch.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? If you've got your light, like your light distributed down the middle, and obviously if your tank's wider, just put like you said, some Orfec bars, or you could go the T5 route. You know what I mean? Either way, it's the Orfec or T5. With my Orfecs, I know people, some people slag them off, but I can't emphasize how much light you get from them, and it's directed. It's not spread. Like it's not wide spectrum. It's very narrow. So it's just basically on the front where I wanted them. Do you know what I mean? On the light. So with a 3 foot tank, a 30-inch one, you could actually do that exactly like you said, mate. Move it, get maybe two of them. Maybe two of them, one either side, and you'll have more than enough light, more than enough spread there. No doubt, no doubt about that.
Do you enjoy your Orfecs?
Go on.
I was just asking him if he's enjoying his Orfecs. Are you really glad you put that upgrade on?
Brilliant, mate. I'm not just saying it because I've got it. If they were shit, pardon my language, I'd tell you. You know what I mean? I don't beat about the bush. If they're crap, I'll tell. I'm honest as they come. I'll just say, yeah, they're not good. You know what I mean?
You don't want other people to waste their money.
No, no, absolutely. Yeah. That's what's good in this hobby is like if you 9 times out of 10 you do get honest people. People who are genuine with you. Yeah, people who tell you the truth. Sometimes you won't, but 9 times out of 10 you do, and that's what's great about this hobby. And I'm one of them. I just say, listen, if it's crap, it's crap. Don't bother buying it. You know what I mean? I'm not sponsored. I don't have anything to them. I wouldn't want to be sponsored, to be truthful, because I like to buy things myself, and then I can, if they're rubbish, I could just say it. If they're good, then I say, you know what, go out and buy them. Absolutely, and that's just me. You know what I mean?
The thing is, it's quite hard to tell sometimes from the video, but in your video, you can see a difference. Now you've got those bars in it, you can see it.
Mate, you know what I'm actually doing? I'm actually doing a video now on just the lights, showing the difference. The problem I have with it is because I can only do a video with the light on, and then I've got to control my other lights, with my mobile phone. So I've got to turn my other lights off, and then I can only film. But just the difference, you can see it straight away. The lights, how much light the Orfex, just one bar gives, and it's only a 3 foot tank, a 3 foot light. You know what I mean? And then when you put the actual hydras on, it's just so much light now. It's exactly what I wanted. So I'm over the moon with them. You know what I mean?
It looks to have made a really good difference anyway, mate. So it seems quite impressive.
Yeah, it is definitely, mate. Definitely.
I think also the 30-inch kind of front to back depends on what corals you want to keep as well. Because if you're going to keep some softies towards the front, or you're going to have a nice gap at the front, then actually you don't need the light to extend to that. What you don't want it to do is to too shaded, and it doesn't look very nice from a light point of view. But if you're going to have a gap around the front, then it may not make a big difference. You're going to have some mushrooms or some zoas there. They're not really light intensive like some of the others are. So it really depends on what you want to keep as well on that. But you definitely have lower power if you're not going to get a reach there. But it may or may not matter.
Yeah, definitely.
It depends how much space you've got around your rockwork as well. Your rockwork might just sit in the middle. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That one there, ATO new nozzle. Honestly, appreciating the hobby. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just saying if something's good, like you say, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Like I said, mate. You know what? It's like honesty is in this hobby. In this hobby, you've got to, mate, because you know, like I said to you with that pump, going onto that pump, it worked for me. Yeah. But I said it was all right. Yeah. Well, then when you were saying it's blah blah blah, and I'm not going to say it because it's beep beep beep, and I was like, oh yeah. You know, but these things happen. What what worked on mine, it didn't work on yours. But it could happen. It could have been the other way. You know what I mean? So,
I know.
Yeah, if it's good, it's good. But if it's bad, I'll tell you. That's it.
Yeah, it's a bit like tank updates, isn't it? Because I know you guys, when something goes wrong, you put it on there. My next video that's going out Sunday, the tank is shot in white. The tank doesn't look particularly good. I've got a couple of corals that are stripping, but you know what? That's life. I could do a video in blue and it would look really, really good. But the 450 has been a little bit neglected, and parts of it is looking a bit shitty, I must admit. And other parts of it look really, really good, like the rainbow chalice look fantastic. But a couple of the others just look really naff. So I thought, should I do it? And I thought, yeah. So it's under white and it doesn't look its best, but that's what's going on.
I think I'm not
going to dress it up.
Yeah, I think that, especially myself, if I'm looking at videos, I appreciate that better than somebody sitting, saying, my tank's amazing, I can grow this, I can do this, I'm the best ever. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody's interested in that. They want to see the real world. And, if you're coral stripping, show your coral stripping. And if it helps somebody out, then great.
Yeah.
I don't think, people shouldn't be hiding these things. There's too many people want to make out they're perfect when they're not. So I think if you can just show the true side of it, that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Anybody who says that they're perfect and they've had no problems in this hobby, you're the biggest beach, going. And that's the bottom line of it, because everybody, no matter whether your corals are stripped, whether your alkalinity has overdosed your tank, whether you've had a bacteria bloom, whether you've got cyano or any air algae, all of these are problems we have in this hobby, But more often than not, a lot of the people, they show the good side. They go, look at my tank, exactly like you said. Oh, it's fantastic, But they don't want to show the bad side. They don't want to show the hair algae. They don't want to show the cyanobacteria. They don't want to show, the negative part. And that's when people get into the hobby and they go, you know what, I could do this. And then they get into it and then they have all the problems. And then they go, why have I spent all that? I thought it was so easy. I thought it was easy to do. And they don't, and that's the reason, because they see the good side, but they don't see the bad side. Do you know what I mean? That's why I watched all of the programs and I checked, before I even bought a tank, all of YouTube, and I seen some of the ones where they were really bad, and I was like, oh, play up, do we really want to get into this? But I chose to get into it, but I knew the risk. You know what I mean? I knew I was gonna, and I've been through ugly stages. I've had air algae, cyanobacteria, I've had bryopsis, I've had everything. Do you know what I mean? I've had the whole lot, and I've shown it. I showed it on if you look on my very, very early ones videos, you'll see it. It's all there. You know what I mean? I jotted everything down.
And you learn from it as well, though, don't you? Because you make those mistakes, and that's how you learn. If everything's perfect, you won't learn. Also, you'd be really lucky if it's on point for the whole time you've had a tank. It's virtually impossible because it's a box that's hardly got any water in it, and stuff is going to happen. It's a bit like pests. You will bring pests into your tank whether you like it or not. It's how you deal with it. So I always have peppermint shrimps in my tank just in case I bring in Aptasia. I've got bumblebee as well, and you have other stuff.
Sorry, mate, I couldn't resist but put that one up. It was too good.
I think that trumps anything we've just said. I mean, fair play.
You know what? Hey, you can't say better than that. That's perfect. That's a cracker. That's the best one today. That's for sure.
It's I think it's such a challenging hobby. And anybody who's got a half decent tank has put hours and hours and hours of time into it. And that's one thing that I've only learned since I've been in the hobby, to run a good, healthy, successful reef tank. Not that I do run one, but to run a reef tank, you have to put hours and hours of time measuring, water changes, reading, studying. And that's the beauty of the hobby as well. You're always learning, aren't you?
I think we've both found that out, Jay. You take you take a week off and you don't do any water tests, and you don't do that, and you come back and check it, and you go, oh no, it's all over the place. Whereas, you know, you get almost too comfortable too quickly. I think that's the key, just to try and stay on top of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jay, you don't need to take 17 minutes to do a nitrate test. That's one thing I have learned. I've tried to do it for 17 minutes and I haven't been able to beat your record. I can usually do it in about 5 minutes, and I'm sure some others do it quicker. So that's one thing you don't need to spend ages on.
It's not coming out for another few weeks. I'm not doing it. Lost time.
There's a good one. That's kind of similar to you, Jay, where, you know, you got a fish on the Live Rock 5 years ago for decoration. Now my 10-year-olds want their own reef channel and to become a marine biologist. So, you know, Jay, you were saying your little boy wants to be a marine biologist, didn't he?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we got into it originally. Was he wanted to be a marine biologist. So I thought, right, what better way to learn about sea life than actually having it in your house and looking at coral parameters and all that sort of stuff. And he's picked up so much from having it here. And I think that's another, I mean, it's going to sound a bit cheesy, but I think reef tanks bring your family together because it's a talking point. You know, the kids, they're not always interested, I think, the kids. Sometimes they just leave you to it, but other times they'll be asking you stuff. And I know Reef King, his son's into it as well. He's an Cajun reefer. She had the family round whilst they're building the tank. So it's not a lonely hobby because obviously you've got the community of us lot around it, and then you've got your families around it as well. You know, one regret I have about joining, but I've got no time and I've got no money now.
Yeah,
other than that, it's perfect.
My kids turn around and say, "When are we going to stop eating these sausage and beans with our toast?" Because this is getting beyond the joke now, Dad. You know what I mean? So listen, the budget has been spent on the torch corals. That is
it. Absolutely.
That's a nice comment there about my LFS knows the whole family, because I think it can be, you get to know people and it can be a really good community with people that you know. And look at the four of us, and let alone the other people. We talk quite a bit on WhatsApp and stuff like that. We've helped one another, got through one another. So, you know, some of the issues we've had, it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is. It's like a big community, you know, this hobby. It's like what Jay said before. He said it in the past as well, and Ross. It says like we all help each other out, you know, in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, you don't think you are, but what's going on in my tank, might be going on in one of your tanks, or it might be going in one of the viewers' tanks. Do you know what I mean? And then they'll think to themselves, you know what? Oh yeah, it happened. Right, I'll ask him, see what he did. And I'm not saying it's going to work for this tank or their tank, but it worked for mine. Yeah, and you help each other out. You do it that way. And this is what's great about this community is fantastic. My kids are not interested in my tank. You know, it's just a shame, really. They're not interested in the tank. They're not, you know, they're super into computers and stuff. So this is the society we live in, unfortunately. But as long as I love it, you know what I mean? As long as I'm on this earth, mate, I'm going to keep loving it, that's for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So shall we do the giveaway now?
Why not?
Yeah.
See if anybody wants to do it. So if you're interested, we're going to give away a Salifert test kit. So if you want to win that, if you type the word test in the comments, we'll add you into that, and then we'll do the same as last week. We'll put it in the wheel of names kind of thing and go that way. So if you want to win the Salifert test kit, if you just write test in the comments, we'll add you into the random draw and we'll go from there.
Cool.
So I'll start writing them down, guys, if you want to chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah, there's just one comment in there. Sorry, go on, Jane.
I was just asking, is that because obviously he's giving this one away? Is that the one that you use, the nitrate Salifert?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one. It's a brand new one, but it's not obviously the one I use. But yeah, that's the nitrate test that I use. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you're giving away a half full.
To say that it's going half full to your house.
No, it's a brand new one.
Yeah.
The sell-by date is March 21.
Only one user.
I think it was.
One owner.
I see in a comment there saying, I think it was Reef King saying the worst thing he had was flatworms. And that's another thing. What do you reckon is the worst pest you can have for your tank? People say bristleworms. Some people say bristleworms, yeah. Some people say flatworms. Some people say the what's it called? The starfish, the Asterina starfish, yeah, because they populate like rabbits, don't they? Those things, yeah. So it is a good point. I mean, I think when I had those flatworms, which I definitely did because they were on my glass, so I know I had them. And then when I added in my 6-line wrasse, I haven't seen any whatsoever. So the 6-line wrasse has definitely done the job, you know, for me. Yeah. But I think the worst thing I had at first was the bristleworms. I had them all over. There was so many of them. I just could not. I even bought a bottled, you know, bristleworm trap, put it in the tank, put a piece of prawn in it, and the following morning it was completely full to the brink of these bristleworms gone in. It was like scary. My missus was like, "Oh, they're creepy, isn't it?" And they are creepy, aren't they? They're horrible little things.
Yeah.
They're also a good cleanup crew. You know what I mean? They eat waste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your food, fish waste and stuff. So it's a balancing act with them, because people are saying, like, you know, they irritate your corals. They do this, they do that. But I have got a few in my tank now, a few big ones. I think the biggest one is about 10 inches in my tank, which I've seen. You know what I mean? Obviously, it comes out at night time. But I've just left him in. I've left it in, that one. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen nowhere near the infestation of them that I did have.
So I've never had a problem with them, because usually if you have a lot of them, that means they're cleaning up, and you potentially got too much crap in the tank, either feeding too much, and there's an imbalance in that. So if you cut back on the feeding a little bit, it goes. So I just left it, and then if you got wrasse and some other things, I can't remember what wrasse it is. They eat them, I think. So I never had a problem with that. I've had flatworm before, and I let it get out of control. But it wasn't the ones that eat SPS. It was the red. Is it platia? And I ended up having to use flatworm exit to get rid of them. I added Springer damsels, I added a mandarin, I added 4 wrasse, and they all went in the same time, and it was just out of control. But for me, it is the Astrenia starfish, only because they're virtually, once you've got them, it's virtually impossible to get rid of them. You manually remove them. You get the harlequin shrimp. But the problem is that will die before it kills all of them, because there's always 1 or 2 that's left. So for me, that's probably the worst one in terms of getting rid of it. But I try and now put different creatures in, or different cleanup crew or whatever, to try and prevent it. So like I was saying, peppermint shrimp, you put it in first. If you was to get it, they will then get rid of the aptasia before you even see it.
Yeah,
for example.
Well, yeah, going on to the harlequin shrimp. Remember the big boy? What I had, the big huge thing. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. He did do the job on those Astrenia starfish. Yeah, but I think obviously, you know, like the little baby ones which were in the cracks, which you couldn't get to. You know, I didn't see any. There wasn't hardly any on the glass, and now I've noticed again they started to come back. You know, bigger ones now, and I'm like, oh my God! But I've given that other one away because. I don't know if I mentioned. I'm sure I mentioned it. That me, serpent starfish. The missus was like looking, and she went, "What's gone on with its legs?" And I was like, "Looked," and 3 of its legs had actually been bit off. Had gone. So after doing some research, I was like, "What the hell's gone on here?" I found out that the harlequin shrimp, if it's running out of its food source, will go to eat a serpent starfish. And I never knew that. I phoned my guy at the LFS store, and he says, if it's starving, it will go for it, yeah. And that was when I removed it. Now I've removed it, the legs are growing back on the starfish now. You know? So I never knew that they ate serpent starfish, but they actually do, the bigger ones, when they're starving. So I'm not going to get one of them in it again. I'm just trying to manually remove them now, as opposed to putting some extra in.
So, you know, the 2 that you've mentioned there, you've picked them out. Are they the worst just because they breed quickly, or do they actually... What's the worst for attacking coral and eating coral?
I think they irritate the starfish, irritate them, mate. The Astrenias are all over my
coral, yeah.
I don't think so, no. I don't think they do. But they're just a nuisance. They are just a nuisance in your tank.
Yeah, I think it depends, because there's some comments in here about bristleworm eating zoas. I haven't noticed that before, but someone's put some comments in there. The starfish do agitate, and I had the flatworm. They create almost like a web, and so therefore they can create a web over the corals, and I don't know if it's suffocate or irritate them. I think they can all do damage. It depends on how big of outbreak that you you have, and then like anything, some things will attack some corals, and other things you don't notice it at all. Aptasia, sometimes that can get in between zoas, and it can irritate them, and then they'll melt. So all of these will have a different effect depending on where they are in your tank, what corals you've got, and how bad an outbreak that you have. That's what I've found anyway on that. And some of them are just a nuisance, and they look ugly, and then they get out of control. That's when they start to have problems and take over rocks and sting and kill stuff. But as people said there, it's just part and parcel of the hobby. I don't think you can stop over a long period of time unless you actually quarantine in their own tank the corals to see what comes out. I don't think you can over a period of time stop pests coming into a tank.
You can quarantine corals as well as fish.
Well, some if you look at it, some people do. Some of the people who've got really big tanks, they'll put corals in their own tank for like a 12-week period and see what happens. And if you look at some of the videos from Worldwide Corals, the way that they get their corals, they will scrub them and they'll put them through 2 or 3 different tanks, and just how they then quarantine in different ways just to make sure there's no pests on them. And I think some of the other videos as well, where you see some LFS do it, but very few do, because it just takes such a long time and it's so costly that they get the coral and they can't put them out there.
Exactly,
How you getting on there, Ross? On the Wheel of Fortune?
I think that's us. Got everybody that's in it. There's 23 people in this one. So I'm just waiting to see if anybody's lagging behind slightly with the live stream, and then we can go for it. But yep, I think there's 23 people's in this so far.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to quarantine. I just haven't got a quarantine tank. It's such a good idea, and but it's just the cost and all that. I'm playing roulette. I am every time. Just dip them, or if it's a fish, I'll acclimate it, and then I just put it in. And you just got to hope, haven't you? You just hoping that there's nothing going to happen. But Ross, you got caught out, didn't you, with your clownfish, and you did an amazing job. But it's just every time I put something new in, I'm like, I pray that it's just going to be all right. That's all I'm doing. I'm just hoping.
You see, when you see like these SPS dominant tanks, all SPS, Now, if you have, you know Scott, don't you, Paul? Anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
And he suffered so bad with flatworm. He bought a coral, he dipped it, but obviously there must have been eggs, still on it, and he ended up with the flatworms. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, and the trouble he's had. I felt so sorry for him. The trouble he's had with him. Yeah, he's had to get like a quarantine tank, just a big Tupperware box, quarantine him, dip him, put him back in the tank, and then do it every other day or every 3 days, just constant, just because of and like he says, if you had a quarantine tank, you could just quarantine that one piece of frag, that SPS that caused the problem. See if there's any problems. But when we all buy corals, what do we want to do? We want to just dip it, and we want to put it in our tank. We don't want to keep it in a quarantine tank for 12 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. We want to just get it straight into the aquarium. And like you said, Jay, by doing that, what we're doing is we're running the risk of basically all your corals being infested with something. And that's the problem. Well, that's the chance we take. You know what I mean? Unfortunately.
There's a comment there from Russell Brooks saying, I quarantine corals, snails, crabs a lot. Be interested, what kind of tank do you put it in? How long do you quarantine for before? And then also, if you put one coral in, if you then add another coral 2 weeks later, do you have to go back to square one? Because potentially you can contaminate one coral with something else that you're putting in. So it'd be interesting to hear what kind of regime you go through when you're quarantining your kind of corals and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what the regulation is around it, at the top end when they come into the country, the big TMC and the LFSs, obviously, we rely on them to do the cleaning and the dipping and the quarantining and making sure that by the time it gets to our level where we're buying it from the shop, which I know is not the case, but hopefully they've reduced the risk for us purchasers. because it's already been quarantined in two or three different places. The coral's been, so I buy from Prestige Reef. I know he's dipped them before he got them. I've dipped them. That's double dipping. You know what I mean? So it's, if everybody's doing their little bit along the way, it all helps, doesn't it? And it reduces the risk. But
yeah,
see, I don't think every store like quarantine.
You don't think they do?
No, I don't.
I think an LFS should. I think it should be part of what they do.
I think they should do. They should do. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think they do. To be truthful, it's like Prestige Reef. Yeah, he's like a small hobbyist stroke distributor. He does it from his own home, doesn't he? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like a small thing. So he can have the time to do it. You know, like to do those things. And when you and you know what, his corals look fantastic. Like you said, Jay.
Yeah.
Never had any problems with them. You know what I mean? No. They look, because he's
reefing, he'll dip his before he puts them in his, and then before he sells them, we'll dip them again. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think if you get big companies, you know, bigger companies, I can't believe that they dip all of their coral and they actually go through all this quarantine business. I just can't see it, because I think that the prices would go up on them even more. You know what I mean?
I think everyone's different, because I think Don was saying he actually cleans down, doesn't he? He was saying when he was on, was it the SPS tray? I can't remember whether it was all of them. Every 2 to 3 weeks, he cleans the tank down, he takes it all out. So that's that. And I think also depends on the kind of frags you're buying. So AAC, which I know some of the guys use, with Paul, about a third of his frags he sells comes from the coral farm, which are agriculture, and they cut them and let them heal and stuff like that. So I think you got a better chance of it being pest free, because it's been in there for quite a while on the coral trains. Paul says there's no guarantee that you'll buy something that doesn't. Anyone that says there's a guarantee is lying, because you never know with the turnover of stuff that they get. And he brings in Indo colonies and other things like that. So there is no guarantee. I know they scrub them down and everything else. So you're probably as good as you can be, but there's no guarantee 100% that you're going to bring something in that hasn't got anything on. And I don't think there can be any guarantee because of something that's hiding through eggs or anything like you said. Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that, Paul, by the way. That's a good little link there. Paul's directed us to a BRS that's coming up. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
I hope these LFSs are doing, most of them probably are doing something, because we spend a lot of money with them. We've got a lot of investment in our own tanks, and we rely on them. There's a bit of trust, isn't there? That we're getting things that...
There's trust, obviously. Yeah, there's trust, but I think it's just like with anything, Jay. Yeah, at the end of the day, if these people are like these shops, that if they're using stuff to to quarantine, then the prices of corals are going to go even more up.
Well, I'd pay more. I would pay more to know that it's safe to put in my tank.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. If I put some in and it wipes out £1,000 worth, I'm not going to be happy.
Wow.
Yeah, but you would. But the majority of people, they might just say, "Oh yeah, well I'll dip it." You know what I mean? Or I'll do it. Yeah. And then they don't, and then before you know it, they've got bugs in the tank or flatworms or whatever. Yeah, and that's what happens, mate. Unfortunately, in this hobby, you know what I mean? But it is what it is.
What you're saying is, it's just something's waiting to happen. You're always going to get a little bit of something.
Always, mate. And anybody who says that they don't get any bugs or anything are lying, because they will get some. I
got a dove snail. I don't know where the hell that came from.
What's that?
A dove snail. I got one of them, but God knows how it's got in there.
I think that's one of the good guys, though, isn't it? I don't think that's
it's a good guy, but I didn't put it in
there. Absolutely. You get a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
I had, like clams, like sea clams, like clams that come on in the ocean. Yeah. Where the hell's that come from? I'm like, I had 2 of them, like opening up like that. It was just opening up. I'm like, where the hell have them things come? To this day, mate, I don't know where they actually come from. They must have been tiny, tiny baby things on the rock or something. Yeah. And they just grew up. But they're still in my tank now. They're right in the rock structure. I'm like, just leave them to it. You know what I mean? It's part of parcel of
nature. I suppose nature.
It's a freebie, mate. That'll do us.
Authentic reef.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, so I think I've got everybody in the wheel of names now. So we'll do the draw just now. I'm going to try and share the screen and see if I can do that. Just give me a second. So let me know if everybody can see that.
Oh yeah, nice.
Can you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
so Ross, I don't know if you want people to check to make sure their names on there, because I made a schoolboy error when I did it. I forgot. I forgot someone. So if you get people to have a look at the names first.
His logo in the middle. Look at that. It's all that.
Oh wow, that puts us to shame.
Hey, you're putting me to shame. I had to put my phone up like that last week.
What was that shower that you did last week, Steve? What the hell was going on with that?
Listen, this is live TV, mate. Live TV.
I can't really say. I've not even led one of these yet because I ain't got the skills to do anything like this.
You're doing it next week, Jay.
Mate, I'm not doing it yet.
It's your turn, Jay.
No, I just enjoy watching.
Everybody put in a post if you want Jay to do one.
No, it won't work. It won't work, honestly. It won't happen.
Jay, you'll manage fine, mate. Manage fine.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
AB Reef says you've missed him, Ross.
I don't think he was in the comments, mate, but I'll put him in anyway, just since he's there.
AB Reef.
You've only just got in. AB Reef's just got in.
You've missed me off, but anyway, I've got a nitrate check.
That's Adam. Is that Adam? It's Adam. That is it?
Yeah,
I think it is, mate.
Adam, yeah, I think so.
Right, so I take it everybody's happy then. We're good to go.
Yeah, I think so. Let's do it.
I'm just looking down. I think everyone's done it, haven't they?
I think so, mate. Yeah.
Well, mate.
Right, here we go. Good luck, everybody. Neil Smith.
Neil, congratulations, Neil.
There you go. Well done, Neil. If you want to.
Is it a fix because Gal didn't win?
Yeah.
Well, I think he'll be unhappy with that.
A steward's inquiry.
Congratulations,
so, yeah.
Neil.
Well done, Neil. If you want to send me a message, I'll sort to get that sent to you, mate.
He lives in Australia, Ross.
Hey, that's the risk you take with these things. If somebody wins it from far away, then
it's a bit like your stickers that you have to send, and it costs you £5.50 postage.
Oh
man, the missus was cracking up the other day because I sent some that were I think it was £3.20 or something to send some of them away. I thought, oh no, well, it's not the best, but hey, never mind. So yeah, well done, Neil. That's yours. I'll get it sent out in the post to you, mate, if you get in touch.
Yeah, and well done, Ross, for putting it out of your own pocket as well. So fair play to you.
No problem.
Oh yeah, you don't want any money for that, Ross? No.
Oh, give me all the money you want, mate.
Look at Jay's face; it's dropped now.
I know how much nitrate check cost.
That's my Yorkshire tea gone now.
Mine's £1 a test.
So yeah, that's. So I think that's been quite enjoyable tonight. Actually, we've covered quite a lot of topics, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah.
What's happening next week? Do we have anybody lined up? Any celebrities?
So
we've had Reef King, we've had Neil's Reef Aquarium. Don't know. Is there any celebs knocking around?
So next week, I think we're on. If you're not hosting, then I think I am.
No, I'm not hosting. No.
Okay, so it is So next week, all being well, we should have Alex Reefdog joining us next week. Spoke to him via message this evening, so he's agreed. So we just got to sort out the times and his connectivity, that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to be all right on that one. So we'll put the banner up in the next 48 hours, just confirming that. So that's what we're looking to do next Friday. So all being well, we'll be joined by Alex, talk about his new water box tank amongst other things, and go from there. But yeah, it's been good.
I think that'll be a really good one, to be fair.
Yeah, that'll be. The knowledge that guy's got, you know what I mean? He's been doing it, I think, years, and so I think it'll be fantastic. It'll be definitely fantastic. You're going to be definitely interested with his new build as well. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The thing that I find, the guy puts a video out 4 o'clock every week, almost religiously for I don't know, any number of years, because I certainly couldn't do that. No, you know, I know there's quite a few people that watch this that put out YouTube videos, but to be able to do that kind of quality every week, 4 o'clock on the nose, is fair play. Because as I say, I couldn't do that. Well, I don't do that. I know you guys do.
And like you say, it's the quality of his videos as well. They're not just like there for the sake of it. They're all really good videos.
Yeah. And they're all intuitive, aren't they? You know, everything is like specific. It's like he tells what he's doing, you know, with certain things and what's the best. You know what I mean? It's just fantastic.
I really enjoyed his water box one this time. If you haven't seen it, because he's not sponsored, so it's a really good, honest review about water box. I think it's good.
Exactly.
Just laughing at one of the comments. Is Jay not old enough to host?
You know what? You know what? It's just I just enjoy being here and part of it. I don't want to be like looking here, looking there. There'll be something cracking off in my tank, and I can't handle it. I like to chill out, and these guys do a brilliant job. So there's no point me messing them out. I'm doing a crap one.
You'd rather do a nitrate test, wouldn't you? I'd rather host than do a nitrate test, I must admit.
Yeah. So Shane's put next week. Mogsy adds 168 corals. I will do if you're buying. Send me your card details over.
Have you got the room? Because your tank, your 350 is absolutely crammed, isn't it? I know you're going to put another rock in it, but it is full to the brim from when I look at your videos and you're on Instagram doing a live. Yeah.
Yeah. I truly can't fit anything else in it, mate. I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, even on the sandbed, I'm like, I'm liking the sandbed. Don't get me wrong, but it's looking too full now. You know, like the clams are growing and stuff, and the zoas are all over. I mean, it's a good thing. I'm not complaining, but at the end of the day, now I'm like, I don't know if I wanted to move the others off the sand. Now I'm like, what the heck? But I've got no rock to put them on. You know what I mean? So. It is a good thing, really, in one sense.
When you put your new rock in, I saw that you teased us with a bit of new rock you're going to put in, aren't you?
Yeah,
on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I'm thinking of looking at. I don't know what rock to actually have. People are saying go with just the live rock. You know, the live rock.
Live rock, everyone's saying now, aren't
they? Yeah. But I have used
Jay's Real Rock.
Right?
Jay's Real Rock.
We joked about this new business venture, didn't we?
Yeah.
Live rock. You need to be live rock now. Did you not? You need to. The video said live rock is the way. Not that I use live rock. I watched the video after I did mine.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm just going to build it. You know, build the rockscape up. So it's like a little ledge, just open over, So it's so that you know the euphyllias are going to get light, but also if I build it up high enough, then I can get some more SPS on it. So I'm thinking of doing it that way. So I've got to look into it, to be truthful, and see how much it's all going to cost, because rock is expensive as anything in it. Live rock, all rocks are expensive, you know. And obviously, you know, a kilo. No, even the normal cheaper one is like what, £8, £9, £12 a kilo and all that.
Yeah.
You don't
realize shaped like you want it to be shaped. It's going to cost you a fortune.
But you can put dead rock in yours and it'll be fine, I reckon, because you've got such a mature tank. The fact that you're putting 2-3 kilograms in, it ain't going to make any difference, I would say, as opposed to you start a new tank, dead rock, blah blah, all that kind of stuff that goes with it. So I reckon you could put it in and it wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. You're not talking about putting 20-30 kilograms in that's gonna trigger a cycle. You're talking what, 2, 3, 4 kilograms in a 350 that's got, I don't know how much rock you got in, 20-30 kilograms, maybe 20 kilograms say in yours, and you've got all that bacteria and everything else in the sump and everywhere else.
Someone says you need to quarantine it first.
Quarantine live rock.
I tell you what, you will. I remember when I got the first tank and I had live rock and I had this little crab in it and it was bloody eating all the corals. And then I was trying to catch the bugger at night, putting a torch in there, trying to get. I got it in the end, but as it was almost like taunting you. As you was there, it would disappear, and then I'd seed up one hole, a bit of rock, and it would come out the other end. It was like Tom and Jerry, is the way I'd describe it. and I weren't Jerry.
Hey, that's it, mate. That's it. I mean, that's the good thing. That's the good thing. Like you said, with live, with like dry rock, and you know, man-made rock and all that, you know, 100% you're not going to get any critters in it. You're going to just get, you know, the stuff and that's it. So that's why, you know, I was edging towards there, but I don't know. It's something to think of, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure I'll sort it. But like you said, Paul, I'm probably only going to put on maybe another 2 or 3, no, maybe 3 or 4 kilo, like you said, of extra rock in it. So it's not really going to be detrimental to the tank, I would have thought so.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, hopefully, you know what I mean, have a spike of anything. So, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. But that's definitely that's definitely going to be on the cards for sure. Stay next time for the Reef for 750. Oh, mate.
750, mate.
Listen, you know what, mate? If I knew that my floor would hold it, I'd have to pull the floorboards up and I'd have to, because it's an old house, you know, it's like an old 1930s house. I'll come in one day and my tank will be in the floorboards and I'll be like,
where's my 1,000 corals gone?
Sunken reef.
That'd be a water feature, though, wouldn't it? You could look top down, no problem.
Mate, it'd be perfect for that. But you know what, though? I've thought about it because the wall, that's the wall, yeah, where my tank is, it's about 8 foot. It's about 8 foot wide. And I said to the missus, what if I've got a tank to just fill that wall? You know what I mean? But then that's in my heart. That's what I'm thinking, and my heart's like, yeah, do it. But then my mind's going, hold on a minute, yeah. How much extra water is that? Yeah, I'd have to pull the floorboards up. I'd have to basically redecorate my whole living room because I'd have to pull all that up, reinforce the floor, which one of my mates did, and when he got his tank, yeah, he had to put breeze blocks and put like, you know, the poles, the finger poles, and hold it up. Like scaffold poles, yeah. And he had to do that to hold his bloody floor up, mate, because it wouldn't. I thought he said it's going to cave in. So for me, mate, it's just too much work. I couldn't be bothered doing that. No chance.
And also, the kids would be on beans. They wouldn't even be on beans on toast, would they? You'd have a tin of beans, family one, and you'd be sitting around the stove and all that, just having the tin of beans. So I don't think that's gonna cut it, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. You know what? That's it. And the pasta that they have, they can forget that, mate. Pasta won't be on the cards.
That's a luxury. That's for Sundays only, isn't it?
That's a Sunday one, definitely, mate. You know what I mean? But yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, I think that's us kind of overrun our 2-hour slot for tonight, lads. So I just want to say thanks very much to everybody that's joined in again tonight. I didn't actually notice the numbers we had tonight, but keep an eye on that for next time. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody who's joined in. Thanks to you guys as well for the chat tonight. It's been really good, so appreciate that. And like we say, next week we're on your channel, Paul.
We're over on Fishpalace. So yeah, thanks for joining tonight. Really good. Really enjoyed it as always.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for
So,
watching.
thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Take care.